from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Report.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Forecaster John Bordash here with you to give you a quick update as I try to get my show together here. There we go. I thought I had it together in some way, shape, or form. If you can hear me, let me know in the comments before we get too underway here. And yeah, we will be all good to go. And I actually see Liz is already in the comments letting me know that she can hear me just fine. So we do have a lot to get through this evening. I will say that the best ways for you, if you're just trying to quickly get information or you're just trying to figure out how much snow you can expect in your backyard as a plain cut and dry answer, the best ways to do that would be the quick glance. Down there at the bottom part of your screen, that has snow totals that are scrolling. And I tried to make it big enough that you're able to see it even on your phones. And then you can also head over to jbweather.net for my first call forecast. That kind of outlines everything there for you with what we're talking about. So let me get you together with what we're talking about. Let me bring you back. We're going to break this up into a couple of phases. We're going to really first go through just the presentation itself, and then after that point, that normally takes me about 10 minutes or so to get through. After about that point, we're going to get into some of your questions, and then after that point, then we're going to get into the science behind the forecast, and typically only the nerdiest of nerdy people like to stick around for that. So if you have questions, please try to wait to have them or to put them in the comments until we get to the question part. That I won't be able to get to many of your questions right now, and they'll get lost in the feed I have on the side of my bar here. So yeah, we are talking about the potential of snow. We've been talking about this for a little bit over the last couple of days. There's been a lot of hype about it online as well. We have high pressure that is dominating our weather today and tomorrow, delivering cold air. It'll moderate a little bit Friday, but then we'll get another blast of cold air that'll deliver fresh injection, and there goes the train I live in front of, that'll deliver a fresh injection of Arctic cold air for Saturday and Sunday, and that then lays the groundwork for the potential for some winter weather. We are going to have an area of low pressure that develops off the southeast coastline, and it will track northward and intensify quickly. I've heard some people throw out the term bomb cyclone, and if that's what the news agencies want to call it, we'll roll with it. But yeah, we will be looking at an intense system moving northward. The question is, how close to the coast does it come? And I'm sure you've heard that a lot, and that will be very important to how our forecast plays out here locally. So in my mind, we kind of have two scenarios here. Scenario one is what we call the coastal track. This area of low pressure is allowed to track further westward. You even see it does a little bit of a loop-de-loop there south of New England and then heads out to sea. This track that's further west would allow for that precipitation shield to come further west. That really centers the heaviest snow from I-95 to the coastline. That would include southern Maryland, with the potential for blizzard conditions up along the Atlantic shoreline. This would be, if you're a snow lover, a scenario you would be rooting for. If you don't like snow, you do not want this forecast or this scenario to come through, and I give this about a 40% chance. This is what a lot of our modeling over the last couple of days has shown. However, I was a little bit hesitant about signing on to this idea for a lot of reasons, and our modeling has begun to come around to it, where this second scenario seems to be what a lot of our models are agreeing on today. This I give about a 60% chance of happening. This is our eastern track solution. So you're taking essentially track our scenario one here and shifting everything about 50 to 100 miles further east. So that then only really puts that heavy snow potential right up along the coastline. So really anywhere that's west of Salisbury, anywhere west of Cape May, anywhere west of Atlantic City, anything west of New York, you're not seeing much with scenario two. Light snow is still possible. However, the heaviest snow, you're talking over half a foot of snow, that's really reserved on out towards the east here. With either scenario here, I do think it is likely Southern Maryland sees snow out of this. Let me go ahead, let me bring up Futurecast here for you. Let me walk you through. This is the latest run of our model here. This is starting us off at Friday, 10 a.m. Not much is going on. And I actually want to zoom you out here, and we'll see kind of what's going on. So let's zoom us out. You can see where Lexington Park is there, or Southern Maryland, representative. Let's put this in motion here at 11 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, our model suggests maybe we have some snow starting to break out, and this wouldn't be with our coastal system. There's going to be a northern piece of energy, and I know this gets a little technical. All you need to know is that there's going to be an additional source for potential snow. That is what will bring the potential of snow late Friday. And it's how that additional storm that's to the north interacts with the developing coastal storm down south. How they interact will determine really our forecast and how far west this can come. And I know that sounds a little complicated, and it is. What you need to know, though, is that first system will try to deliver us some light snow showers Friday. I don't think it's a big deal as things stand right now. Our model might be a little bit too quick with it, too. I tend to think any snow probably wouldn't begin before sunset, but we'll see. Our model then maybe see a lonely activity, but as we zoom out, we can see a large blob out here. This is our storm system getting its act together, and with cold air here over the east coast, we see any precip that gets thrown back being snow. And then as our system begins to work northward, we see snow begins to work its way to the west. How far west is this precipitation shield allowed to come? The latest run of Futurecast earlier today was pretty aggressive. Latest run, not so much. It gets snow in here, but very quickly by sunrise Saturday, it's out of here, and it's moving up the coast. And it's really going to be this area up here near along Cape Cod, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard up here. Any interest southeast Mass, you're talking about a decent snow event. But I do still think even with this solution, which is very much a scenario 2 type forecast, let me bring it back here. Futurecast is a scenario 2 based forecast right now. Earlier today, it was more of a scenario 1 based forecast. Right now, scenario 2. But with either solution here in Southern Maryland, I do think we sit in a good spot to at least see some snow, if for nothing else because that first initial system I do think will spread some light snow across the region. So for that reason, we've moved the snow index up here up to a level 3. We're talking delays and impacts. And I know schools aren't really a thing on Saturday. It's fine. We're talking travel delays then, right? So chances of a credible winter weather event are increasing. Winter weather accumulations are likely, and impacts on society are very possible. Plan on impactful weather and stay tuned for additional updates to this forecast. I don't think we're at a point right now where we need to be buying milk, eggs, and bread and freaking out, heading to Lowe's and grabbing shovels and sleds. I don't think we're at that point right now. This is my first call snowfall forecast, and this is a regional look. We'll take a zoom in on Southern Maryland here in a second, as we always do. But for those of you that have interest outside of our region or that live outside of Southern Maryland, you want to know what's going on. Again, I think those highest snow totals are going to be found along the Delmarva Peninsula up into New Jersey, then over into parts of New England. I think 5 to 8 inches is very doable out there. I think your highest totals are going to be from northern portions of coastal New Jersey up into southeastern Mass, 8 to 12 inches plus. Some parts of Massachusetts could see maybe 1 to 2 feet. Locally here in Southern Maryland, 3 to 5. We'll get into that a little bit more. And then 1 to 3 west of I-95. So I do think many spots do see snow. Granted, the further west you head, lower the totals. Further east you head, higher the totals. So if you're sitting in Charlottesville, I don't think you're seeing 3 inches. I think you're probably seeing closer to 1. But let's take you on in here to Southern Maryland. I think areas from I-95 to the Bay are sitting in a good spot to see 3 to 5 inches. Is that a huge snowstorm? No. Is it impactful? Yes. But yesterday I talked about I didn't see this being a huge snow event, and I don't think 3 to 5 inches of snow is a huge snow event for our region. We've seen much bigger. Case in point, earlier this month. I don't think we're talking double-digit snowfalls, and I don't think we're talking about a lot of communities that see over half a foot. Your best spot to see over half a foot would be southern St. Mary's County, south of Lexington Park. But even there, my forecast explicitly says 3 to 5. So right now, I'm not forecasting that, but that potential could be there if this were to trend further west, right? We move it, if this track comes 50 to 100 miles further west, you're going to move all of this. Let me come back here regionally. You'll move all of these areas 50 to 100 miles further west. So that would put Southern Maryland into 5 to 8 inches. Conversely, if this track's 50 to 100 miles further east, take all of these zones, move them 50 to 100 miles further east. Yeah, so we're kind of sitting here sandwiched between what will likely be a big snow event for the coast and what won't be a snow event west of I-95. We're kind of sandwiched in between those zones. And if you were seeing snow maps yesterday, they probably looked a lot higher than the totals I have here. Yesterday, I saw a lot of maps getting published that had like 6 to 12 inches plus in southern Maryland. And today, you're seeing I'm forecasting 3 to 5. JB, what's going on with the forecast? That's why we don't issue snowfall forecasts more than 48 hours out from an event. A lot can change and a lot does change. Here's a look at our latest model output. A lot of this information has just come in. So I have what I'm forecasting. These are the 2 southern Maryland locations that our models put out data for. So this isn't to say that Hollywood doesn't matter or Cobb Island or Easton, Maryland. This is just a basic look at 2 zones just to give you an idea. I could show you snowfall maps, but then you confuse it as one of my maps. So let's just look at the bar graph. Generally, a lot of um, a lot of these totals fall within our range, right? Pax River, I'm forecasting 3 to 5. I have out of our models, so the GFS in Euro, GFS is the American model, Euro is the European model, the RGEM is a Canadian-based model, the North American model, NAM, that's a high-resolution, short-term model, and NWS, that's the National Weather Service. So really only the first 4 here are models, and most 3 out of our 4 models land within that 3 to 5 inch zone. The National Weather Service is a little bit more ballsy here, forecasting 5 to 9, and the North American model is a lower outlier at 0.7. At Andrews, the forecast a little bit more, questionable out there because you're further west. Andrews, I'm forecasting 2 to 4, but you might be sitting closer to that 2-inch mark. And there's always the potential with these maps. This is only a first call, that the final call is going to look different. Is it possible these totals go down 100%? And I want you to know that. It is very possible that maybe tomorrow we're downgrading totals to 2 to 4 or 1 to 3, or that we're upgrading totals to 5 to 8. I think 3 to 5 is a good starting point right now, and I really do think you could see 3 or you could see 5. And it's possible. And I kind of break it down a little bit more here. Let's look at Andrews. You could see 2, you could see 4, right? Salisbury could see 4, could see 6. So look at the whole range there. Don't just hug the uppermost extreme. Wind is also going to be an issue. And I think this will be an issue kind of regardless of if we see a lot of snow or not. Highest wind gusts with these strengthening systems are always found at the coast. I think we're talking 45 to 55 mile an hour gusts from Ocean City, Chickatique, on up towards Atlantic City, on into New York City. That could constitute blizzard conditions. I think locally we're not looking at winds that intense. Granted, if the storm tracks further west, we're bringing this further west too. But I think 35 to 45 mile an hour gusts at times, Friday night going into Saturday, will be very possible. And this could cause some scattered outages. I won't say that that isn't an issue. I don't think it'll be as big of a thing as what we saw at the beginning of the month, because the snow doesn't look to be heavy and wet. This would probably be more of a powdery snow. The risk outlook, generally speaking, I think your highest risks are going to be found, and your highest impacts are going to be on the Delmarva Peninsula. Locally in southern Maryland, northern neck, I think we're talking a medium overall threat for moderate snowfall accumulations. I'm not worried about the rain snow line here. I'm not worried about ice. Wind will have a threat. We just saw that 35 to 45 mile an hour gusts, and roads will be snow covered with this event. When snow starts falling, it should stick right away. So here's the summary here for you. And I think this kind of puts it together nicely, especially for those you just now joining wanting to know what's going on. And this would mark the end of the presentation. We'll get into some of your questions here in a second. So if you have questions, put them in the chat now. That would be a good time to do that as we kind of wrap this up. But for snow, I think we likely see snow begin to break out around sunset Friday. Maybe it's a little sooner than that, but I don't think it's much sooner than that. But we could see light snow Friday evening that then could pick up to more of a moderate snow, especially for our southern and bayside communities. So the theme here is if you're up along the Chesapeake Bay, you're probably here in southern Maryland going to see the most amount of snow. So up along the bay, and when I talk southern zones here, I'm talking south of Leonardtown. So those southern and eastern zones, northern and western zones like Indian Head, like Marshall Hall, Akakie, Brandywine, Clinton, on up into like Crofton, you likely aren't going to be getting into that yellow, what I would constitute as more of a low medium impact from snow, that yellow shading there. But snow will pick up at times and then clearing by lunchtime on Saturday. Temperatures are cold throughout the event. Wind gusts will be at their peak probably right around Saturday morning. Scattered outages can't be ruled out, and those roads will likely get snow covered. And then temperatures don't get above freezing likely on Saturday. So refreeze 100%. If you have anything wet out there, it's going to freeze. So I see. What about Leonard? We're not answering the in my backyard questions. You can St. Mary's County is popping up right now for you. Let's see. Yeah, Carol saying it's not till 6 or 7 on Friday. Yeah, our future cast is a little bit ambitious with the amount of with getting snow in here quicker. I have other models that aren't as quick with it, so we'll cut the difference and call it 6 o'clock. But the time frame for snow to start likely is, it could be as early as 2 or 3, and it could be as late as like 9 or 10. So we'll cut the difference and call it 6 o'clock. Let's see. Is there another storm? Everyone always wants to get to the next storm. No. Right now, I'm not trying. I think after this, and I don't have the 10-day forecast loaded in here, but after this, we'll get into a brief but much needed, I think, early February thaw. Jessica wants to know when my next update will be for this. So the way I like to do this is that my first call comes out roughly 48 hours before an event. So today, my next update likely will come tomorrow afternoon. So be on the lookout for that. Tomorrow I have class starts at 2. So be on the lookout for the, I don't know if I'll make it a final call, but an updated, a second call. Between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We'll do another live stream tomorrow at 7. I like to keep it consistent. We'll do these live streams at 7. And if there needs to be an update to that forecast, what would be then dubbed a final call or a third call, that would probably come out Friday morning. That's kind of the timeline we're looking at here. I like to issue as few forecasts as possible, though. So if I don't need to update this forecast, I'm not going to. If I need to, though, that'll come between 12 and 2. And if that can stand as a final call, we'll roll with it. But if that needs to get updated, we'll do it Friday morning. So I hope that answers that question for you. Let's see. So yeah, Brenda, I don't think we're talking about another storm coming up after this one, at least in the short term. Ginger wants to know about Norfolk, and that is a question I will entertain for totals. Let me come all the way back here. Norfolk, probably looking at, call it maybe 3, or probably like a 4, 5, 6-inch amount down there. Great traveling from PA to Southern Maryland on Friday. Carol, you should be fine before sunset, I would think. Let's see, my daughter's birthday party is on Pax River, 12 o'clock Saturday. Should we reschedule? Sarah, let me take you on over to Futurecast. And again, this is just one model. Oh, that isn't what I wanted. There we go. And we'll take a look. And Sarah, if you're able to stick around a little bit, we'll walk through the different models and the different timings they have. This is just our model, and this might change a little bit. But Saturday at 12, our model here has not much going on. You probably are still looking at snow-covered roads locally, but at this point, plows will have been able to have gotten out and deal with it. But yeah, our model here tries to get this snow. It gets the snow in here early by like 4 or 5 o'clock, but then gets it out of here by like sunrise. So, that's kind of the time frame we're generally looking at. And I don't think the timing, Catherine, really will impact the snow totals we're talking about. I think kind of regardless of when it falls, it'll stick. And I don't think when it falls will indicate how much we get. How long it sticks around will. If this storm is able to come further west, let me bring it back on over here. Let me take you to scenario 1. With scenario 1, the storm is slowing down. That's why it's able to do a loop-de-loop up here, because it interacts with that northern energy, right? So if it slows down, that means we're looking at a longer duration of snow, and it could put down more. With scenario 2, the storm is not doing a loop-de-loop. It's able to move at a good clip out to sea. And yeah, Wesley, we can go over all the models here in just a second. Yeah, so Brenda, tomorrow night at 7 will be my next live stream. I should be home from class. It's at 4:45, 5:4. So yeah, 7 o'clock I think works well for tomorrow. Thank you, Stephen. All is going all right. We're making it through the semesters in its second week, and I am already stressed out. Lots of birthday parties, it seems. Let's see, yeah, Theresa. Um, Saturday night, means you should be fine. Do be aware of some slick spots that could be, still lingering, but there should not be snow falling Saturday night. Yeah, let me put the snow total map back up here for you. Give you a general look. Yes, I did get a haircut. I got a haircut on this past weekend, Saturday, I think it was. And yes, St. Mary's probably will get at least a couple of inches. Any possible flooding? We could look at coastal flooding with the storm offshore, but I think the bigger concerns for that will be along the like on up towards Ocean City, Bethany, Cape May, Atlantic City, those regions up along the Atlantic seaboard. Locally, you might see up to a foot of water rise in like southern St. Mary's and coastal Calvert County, but nothing too big. I'm in Chesapeake Beach. We're 2 to 10:30. So are we talking 2 a.m. Saturday? 2 a.m. Saturday, there'll probably be, I mean, if that's like a 2 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Saturday, probably talking about some snow around for that. And thank you, Sarah. All right, so I do see a lot of people want to get into the sciencey part of the forecast, the models. We will get into it right now, and I will try my best to look at questions as they come in. Nikki wants to know any snowfall on Saturday. Yes, ma'am. All right, so let me come on over here. We'll take a look at the latest European model. This is our model that it's been a little bit it's been not hesitant. It's been the most our European model, which is what I'm about to show you, has been our model that has been the most aggressive with snow. That is what I'm trying to say. Our American model has been the least aggressive. So this is the latest run. This is what we call the 18Z. This is our evening run. This isn't what we call an intermediate run as well. So we'll get fresh data, a whole new suit loaded up that goes out for the entire duration here, right around 1 a.m. So this is kind of in between the lunchtime and the overnight run. And where's Southern Maryland? For those of you that don't normally look at these maps, Southern Maryland is right in there. All the extra lines you don't really need to worry about. Generally, like these blue lines out here that I'm now putting black over, those blue lines generally will represent temperatures below freezing, although not always. So if we push this out here, what we can note right away is that we have high pressure over our region, and that's driving down cold air from the north. And we're just taking a look at some of the surface projections here. As we move into Thursday, we still have cold air around. And what you will notice, look at up here, you see snow where I just put that X. That is our northern stream energy. It will be there regardless if it interacts with our coastal storm. But that is what's going to try to initially bring us snow on Friday. And I haven't seen this model run yet, so we'll see what it does. But notice down here, you have moisture. Watch what happens here as we put the model here forward. So this is right on lunchtime Friday. You can see we get an increase in moisture and you get an additional circle to pop there. That is going to be our coastal storm developing. At the same time, our northern piece energy to the northwest, not phased yet, not combined, is bringing snow to our region. So that will initially bring snow likely Friday evening. And then what you can note, high pressure to the north, low pressure here off the coast. And the European model, let's take a look together. Yeah, it continues to be one of our more aggressive models here. Let's zoom you on in. You see where you get the deeper purples, that's heavier snow, and it really tries to focus that heaviest snow southeast I-95 right up along the coastline here. And look, it really tries to crank it up out here over parts of Cape Cod. But this is getting into Saturday afternoon snow is beginning to wrap up and pushes out. And I always have to do this just to make sure we don't have any mishaps. Not a forecast. All right, so keep that in mind. This is not a forecast. But if we take a look at the snow output from the model, what you can generally note here, and let's kind of zoom you on in a little bit. I'll do it in a way where not a forecast doesn't get too much in the way. So what we're talking about is still, just look at the general theme here. Here's your I-95, right? Kind of coming down like that. Heaviest snows are east of I-95. And I think regardless of the exact amount, just note here, your highest total, that's not the color I wanted to use there. Highest totals are going to be immediate coastal locations up into New England. Highest totals. Moderate totals are going to be northwest of there. Now this model here, our European model, is doing, there we go, is bringing this a little further west. It's not bringing it further west, it's been consistently further west. And what that allows is for those more moderate totals to get here in southern Maryland, where those purple colors represent over 6 inches. And I do think if you're going to see 6 inches of snow in southern Maryland, it's going to be down here, southern Calvert, southern St. Mary's counties. And this model gets, that light, impactful snow all the way back to I-95. Now, conversely, let's zoom you on out. And again, this is not my forecast. Let's take you to the American model. It's a totally different story. Let's take you to the American GFS. Look at how that changes there. Let me show you why that changes. Let's bring it back here. Still looking at our surface projections. We get snow to initially bubble up here as we head through the evening hours. And it's going, yeah, low pressure's developed out here, but it's further offshore. So let me show you here. American model at this time. Yeah, we'll use, here we go. American model at this time, low pressure is all the way out here. Northern extent of the snow really kind of sits right through here. Let me take you back to the European model at the exact same time. Difference. Storm is tracking further northwest. Snow extent is pushed further northwest, right? So what was the extent of the snow on the American model is the extent of the heaviest snow on the European model, and then it pushes it out very quickly, slides quickly out to sea where, again, still looking at impressive snow totals. Is it as crazy as what we just saw or what you might have seen earlier this week? No. This generally is on the lower side of my forecast. Again, I'm forecasting 3 to 5. This is closer to 2 or 3, maybe 4 for some of you. But still, your highest totals are out here along the Atlantic beaches. Your moderate snow totals try to get here into southern Maryland. And then you see, this is pretty much the, I'm drawing lots of lines on there, but you get the idea. You get the idea. So, let me bring you on over here. This is the American model. I want to take you to our upper levels of the atmosphere. We're tracking energy here. So what these colors here represent, for those of you that don't normally look at these maps, let me circle Southern Maryland for you because I know it can get lost. Southern Maryland is right in there. These colors and all of this, so the colors represent energy. Where are we looking at energy actively spinning in the atmosphere? When you get a consolidation of colors, of bright colors, especially when you get into those reds and dark maroons, that's a lot of energy consolidating. The white represents very little energy. And you can see generally these little like arrow type thingies that kind of generally shows you the flow, and sort of these lines out here that are on top of the state lines, that generally shows you the flow of the pattern, just to break it down in the most simplistic terms. Our energy we're tracking, you can kind of see what looks like a little curly Q out here, right? Let me get rid of that. That's generally the storm energy we're tracking as it comes down and out. So let's track this forward. Watch our little energy here. We see our little curly Q up here. We're tracking it down, tracking it down. This is the American model. And what we see here, let's get you forward. Our energy becomes very strung out. It's not consolidated in a way it once was, and at one point it once was modeled to be. However, what we are noting, you see how these lines are dipping down here? What that's going to allow to happen is allow cold air to filter in first. Second, the track here, just follow the wind barbs. That's what's going to allow it to come up, well, it's going to allow it to come out to sea. What we would like to see for us in a Southern Maryland snow lover perspective, which again is the perspective I'm speaking from, you want this here, the orientation to be tilted more negative. This is what we call a positive tilt. It's generally leaning forward. What we would want to see out here is for the orientation of this dip to be more like this, where the base of the trough or the dip is further out in front of the top part, right? So instead of it being oriented kind of like this, and I think I'm doing that backwards, so instead of like this, you want it kind of more like this, right? So that's an issue. One thing that we do see that is good for snow lovers, right, is that we have what we are calling a ridge or buckling upwards of the jet stream out west. That's what's allowing that cold air to come in. But the American model, again, it strings out the energy, it consolidates it, and what you can note here is that what we go from it is initially more of a positive tilt, becomes more neutral, and then tries to become negative out here. What does that negative tilt try to do? When we get that tilt like this, that allows moisture to get fed northwest, it allows that storm to slow down a little bit. American model's not doing any of that. Really, it does so very late, and that is what leads to not much going on. Now, if we take a look at the European model, does it load 18Z data up in here? No, I think we need to come back over here, and the chart will look slightly different, and my apologies. And I really hope I'm not boring any of you too much, and that this is kind of, helping out a little bit for you to understand why we're forecasting what we're doing. Again, if you want a quick overview of the pretty graphics, head over to jbweather.net. The website is finally working. That was a whole hassle today. Let me bring you on over here, though. We want to take a look at our upper air. No. Here we go. So this model is generally showing the same thing, granted in different colors. Again, where you can get the brightest colors out here, you're getting energy consolidating. Again, it's not as pretty as the other map. It looks a little bit more complex. It really isn't, though. Let me bring it back. So out here is going to be our energy, and down here is Southern Maryland. So let me erase that. Out here is our energy that's diving southward. What we will note, let's play this forward again. This is our European model. It develops it a little bit, and it begins to string it out as well. But what we will note is as it begins to come further east, it begins to consolidate a little bit more. My concern, though, still is look at how strung out it is. This energy is strung out and not really pieced together all that well. However, this is allowed to develop into a more substantial snowstorm on the European model because our trough here, while still tilted positive, is not as positive and is a little bit more neutral, right? And as it comes off the coast here, we really see it pop and it begins to become a little bit more negatively tilted. It cuts off a little bit and there's a lot going on there. So that's kind of, what we're talking about. Yesterday we talked about our ensembles, and if you weren't around yesterday or you forget, what we're taking a look at right now is the European model, and this is probably how you're most used to seeing it, is these pretty maps that show you where snow and rain are. These models are what we call the parents, and then each model has kids. And those kids are what we refer to as ensembles. And like with normal genetics, those kids are all altered a little bit differently from the main parent model, but it's still the same at the core, the same data it's working with. So the ensemble of the European, there are 50 kids, 50 ensemble members, and each of those 50 ensembles are run just a little bit differently. High pressure, stronger by 2 millibars here. We're moving things around a little bit, and we do that to get a good general idea of how confident are we in a forecast. It shows us the wide variety of possibilities because no weather forecast is 100% correct. So when a lot of our ensembles are showing the same thing, that tells us no matter how we tweak the atmosphere, we're going to get the same result. And that tells us we have a good handling of how things are looking. So if we take a look at those ensembles, the European, let's take a look at that first. our event we're really looking at is out here. So you can see it numbered here on the side. This is it's eluding me the type of chart we refer to this as. But here, your top line, this is member 50. Member 48 in between is member 49. So each line here, each row represents how each ensemble thinks things could play out in terms of a deterministic snowfall total. And we kind of see, right? So our range that we're watching, I think I have the pen and then I don't, is in here. And we're just seeing how many of these 50 members here have big snow. So if we're talking double digit snow, we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-ish. So let's write that down quick to keep that in mind. So 13 out of 50 have like double digit snow. Now, if we're just looking, for a plowable snow, let's call that over 3 inches, right? We're looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I think I already counted that. We'll count. This is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 out of 50, that's in addition to our 13, so 33 out of 50. So over half of our models have a plowable snow locally. So these are, just the things we look at here. So if we take a look down here, this is just a chart that tells us kind of what we're talking about. While the upper and lower extreme here, represented here by our black lines, is big, the average of all of these comes to like a 3 to 5. Generally, if we look at the mean of this, let me bring it back on over, and this might be an easier way for you to understand that average. European, let's come over here to the Mid-Atlantic. Let's take you to snow totals. This is just an average look. As you push this forward, and is this 18Z? No, this is still the 12Z, so the afternoon. So not the latest update, or we're still waiting on that. What that does, generally, what it's doing, is the same thing. Heaviest snow out here for our beaches. Moderate snow along Delmarva just to our east, but could clip southern parts of the area and gets impactful snow back to I-95. The key here, again, is how far west does it come? We could shift this either direction by 50 or 100 miles, so do keep that in mind. So that is just kind of generally what we're talking about. And I know that I've neglected some of your questions, and my apologies for that, and I might have bored some of you. So that's kind of, just the general look at what we're talking about. So yeah. Is this a huge blizzard? I don't think so. A lot of our modeling over the weekend had shown, 20 to 40 inch amounts. And I think even 1 or 2 days ago, like 42 inches of snow in Ocean City. And let's keep in mind when you see these like crazy 10-day outputs that of course you're not seeing here, but you're seeing floating around social media. Rare events are rare for a reason, right? So like Hurricane Sandy, and we've seen this since Hurricane Sandy in 2012, and how it kind of weirdly hooked into New Jersey that had never happened before in recorded history. Since then, we've had a lot of systems on models try to do that, but it never happens. For a variety of reasons, but let's just keep in mind that was a once-in-a-lifetime type of an event. So to get that to happen again takes very extraordinary circumstances. So to see blizzards like what we saw in 2016, in 2010, in 2003, in 96, we need once-in-a-decade type circumstances for those to happen. So the upper atmospheric pattern isn't overly supportive for that this time. So it doesn't surprise me that we were trending to more of this. And it's very possible that maybe this blue zone that's 3 to 5 right now becomes more like 2 to 4. And while generally that's not too different, we're just cutting an inch, that the public reads that very differently. We move from like an average there of 4 down to an average of 3. But, Let me get caught up here. Yeah, Karis, we are talking about strong winds with the storm. And likely locally 35 to 45-mile-an-hour winds. So, yeah, I think the story of the season, aside from their early January storm that dumped 15 inches in Huntingtown, the story with the storms you've seen, they've either missed west or they've missed east, really. Right? We had that storm last week or the week before that was forecast, or not even forecast, but like shown on 10-day model outputs to be some huge, like 30-inch blizzard that ended up maybe bringing us 2 inches of snow. These are the types of, like, this is what we typically see in a La Nina, and that is why my snowfall forecast for the season was 5 to 10 inches. Let's pull out that Monday system from the beginning of the month. Without that right now, we're sitting generally at like 3 to 5, 4 to 6 inches of snow for the season. And that's because, as we talked about in the winter outlook, the storms we see are snow to rain or rain to snow. When we're cold, we are cold and dry. And when we have moisture around, we're too warm to see snow. These are all very typical of a La Nina. It is very difficult to get a coastal blizzard in a La Nina setup where we have an absence of an active southern jet stream. So keep that in mind, that this now next year might be different because next year likely will be an El Nino. And that tends to favor bigger snows. But this is where we sit right now, and again, this is all very prone to change, and things can move 100 miles west, 100 miles east. Things are very prone to change this far out. So that is kind of everything. And if you have any other questions, let me know. The National Weather Service. Oh, clearly I need more sleep. Let me show you here. Let me bring you on in. The National Weather Service, let's take a zoom out. We already have winter storm watches out here in the Boston area because this is where they likely will see a lot of snow. Their snowfall forecast out here, the National Weather Service is forecasting 12 to 18 inches of snow in Boston and Plymouth. And I know a lot of Southern Maryland snow lovers that would love to see that down here. Some of you don't want that at all, though. The National Weather Service locally, let me show you that. Their map is a little bit different than mine. They go definitely a little bit higher where, again, this is not my forecast, but they have highest totals down south, and you can't really see that. They're down south here, and they peg at 5 to 8, and then quickly cuts off where you got like 3 to 5 here, and then 1 to 3 out here. I think that 5 to 8's a little overdone, 100%. With that in mind, though, let me show you their kind of ranges. So this is their boom scenario. So at a maximum, 16 inches in Lexington Park. Yeah, at a maximum. This has like a 1 in 100 chance of verifying, though. Low end, nothing. So 0 to 16 inches for you. I know that doesn't help too much, but I hope that some of this information helps a little bit. So. And yet, Stephen, as these storms gain in latitude, as they head northward, I have a graphic somewhere in here. As these storms come northward, and we see this all the time with like tropical systems, these winter systems, just as they gain latitude, they transition, and we talk about this a lot with hurricanes. They transition into subtropical, extratropical. They deepen quickly. The atmospheric forcing patterns around it really not just allow for that to happen, but kind of promote that happening, which is why you're able to typically get these huge snowstorms up in Boston, where down here we're struggling to get 2, 3, 4 inches out of it. So that's kind of generally what we're talking about. So we will update this. I am at school tomorrow, granted not as long as I am on Tuesdays, but I am at school from like 9 to 5 tomorrow, which means I'm out of the apartment between 8 and 5, or 8 and 6, something like that. But stay tuned. I do have a break in my classes tomorrow, so I'll probably try to get an update out then. If not then I will have one out in the evening when I get home. And then we'll do another one of these lives around 7 o'clock tomorrow. That's definitely my goal. So we will continue to track all of this. So you can always get my forecast online, jbweather.net, on social. Facebook has updated, once again, its pages and genuinely, if JB Weather wasn't a thing and Facebook wasn't the biggest platform for JB Weather, I wouldn't still use Facebook, especially for weather content. The Facebook pages, I'm not a fan of it, but you can find updates there. That I always have updates on Facebook, on Twitter at JB_weather, Instagram at JB Weather, YouTube. So yeah, and make sure you check out the new JB Weather merch line, and I can actually show you. Let me come over here. Let me take you to over here. Let's hop over to just jbweather.net now that the website is actually like working and it's not crazy. And I'm sure because I'm live, it's not gonna want to work. There we go. So you come up here, you see store. You press that button. It takes you to a whole new server, which loads much quicker. And yeah, you got the JB Weather store. Now would be a great time to get a JB Weather snow mug. Even if we don't end up seeing that much snow, now would be a good time to get it. Or, even better, get a JB Weather I Don't Buy It shirt. Great time. And of course, I would tell you to buy all of this stuff. I'd love to see that. But you got a whole bunch of stuff in here. You can just kind of come through. You got hoodies. What I will say is that if you're ordering like sizes, I believe it's 3XL or higher, there's an extra $2 tacked on top of these prices, and that's something that the manufacturer does. That's not something I do. So do keep that in mind. So, yeah, and who knows? Maybe we'll do like some sort of giveaway with this, or maybe we'll do some promo code for when we get snow for the snow gear. Anyway. You can come on over, store.jbweather.net for all that information. jbweather.net just generally is your spot to go for all of this stuff. So have a nice and safe one. Keep it tuned here to JB Weather, and I'll continue to keep you updated. And we will talk again soon. So have a nice and safe one, y'all, and I will be here to continue to keep you updated.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.